see you all back here in about 3 minutes or so.
Perfect. So thank you, Max. My name's Holly, and like Max said, I'll present in my empirical project, which investigated the effect of an abbreviated bout of heart rate variability biofeedback on the sustained attention and mental fatigue of competitive athletes. So firstly, I'll just provide an overview of the current research. I'll be followed by any methodology and results, and then I'll just discuss the implications of my findings. So firstly, just my study background. So heart rate variability indicates the interval oscillations between consecutive heartbeats, and it's arguably the most reliable assessment of the autonomic nervous system. So it's largely utilized within the clinical settings, but it is evolving into one of the most notable monitoring tools within sport. A well-established performance enhancement strategy is heart rate variability biofeedback. So this is characterized as a cardiorespiratory intervention, and there's an abundance of research supporting its effectiveness in acutely increasing heart rate variability. So the procedure entails rhythmic abdominal breathing at an individual's resonant frequency. So this is typically between 4.5 and 7 breaths per minute. So heart rate variability biofeedback induces both cognitive and physical performance benefits. And a review demonstrated 86% of studies reported enhancement in psychophysiological variables. However, an area which receives little examination is the influence on executive functions. So these are complex high-order cognitive scores, and the most notable is attention. So the neurovisceral integration model is utilized to understand the relationship in the enhanced attention. So in resonant frequency breathing, the exhalation is elongated, and this stimulates parasympathetic effects and increases vagus nerve activity. So when a participant inhales, their heart rate increases, and when they exhale, it decreases. And this provides emotional centers of the brain with a relaxed visceral state. But an alternative theory is that following heart rate variability biofeedback, mental fatigue reduces, and Chin and colleagues attribute the cognitive reduction to the enhanced sympathetic dominance witnessed within mentally fatigued participants. Therefore, the unique advantage of heart rate variability regulating a heightened sympathetic activity provides strong support that heart rate variability biofeedback does alleviate mental fatigue. So this leads us on to my research aims. So there is limited research investigating the effect of heart rate variability on the sustained attention and mental fatigue of competitive athletes. Therefore, considering the constraints of the current evidence and the performance benefits, we aim to do this. So we hypothesized that there would be an interaction effect between heart rate variability biofeedback and subjective mental fatigue, with scores being significantly less following the intervention. We also hypothesized that participants will also perform significantly better on the sustained attention to response tasks following the intervention. And finally, the Stroop colour word test would induce mental fatigue in both conditions. So what did we do? So we recruited 29 semi-elite athletes competitively performing in netball, football, or ultimate frisbee, and they had no pre-existing cardiorespiratory conditions, and they came to Newcastle University on 3 occasions. So the study adopted Lara and colleagues' resonant frequency technique, and prior to each session, participants completed a lifestyle questionnaire collecting influencing factors of heart rate variability. So then they went on to the actual sessions. So participants on their non-dominant middle finger wore a photoplethysmography alongside a respiration sensor 1 inch above their navel. During a 2-minute naturalization period, participants remained seated with their eyes closed and breathing at their normal rate, and then the instructions for the procedure then followed. So during session 1, this consisted of the resonant frequency estimation and confirmation procedures. So during the estimation procedure, participants pace their breathing with an on-screen pacer, such as the one on the screen now, and this automatically changed every 2 minutes. So in increments of 0.5, individuals started at 7 and declined down to 4 breaths per minute. So following a 10-minute break, the confirmation procedure then commenced, and during this, individuals only followed 3 breathing frequencies, consisting of their calculated resonant frequency alongside frequencies 0.5 above and below. Then on a subsequent day, the experimental protocol was conducted. So following the naturalization period, subjects recorded their subjective mental fatigue by drawing a vertical line on the mental fatigue visual analog scale. They then completed the Stroop colour word test, which to indicate as quickly as possible the colour of the word, and then they completed the fatigue visual analog scale again. Then, based on the counterbalancing assignment, subjects either completed 10-minute intervention just breathing at their resonant frequency breathing or breathing normally. And then finally, again, the mental fatigue visual analog scale was administered. They then completed the sustained attention response task, whereby they withheld pressing the spacebar when a 3 was displayed. And then participants conducted the alternative conditions a minimum of 5 days later. So on to our results. So compared to the control condition, post-stroop scores within the experimental condition were significantly greater than pre-stroop scores. Also within the experimental condition, HRV indices such as SDNN, low frequency and total power were significantly greater. And there was no significant difference in performance on the sustained attention to response task between conditions. So there was a significant difference in the duration of sleep and the units of alcohol consumed between sessions. Post hoc analysis showed that it was actually greater within the control condition. Most participants reported stress associated with university work, illness, and also work. And finally, we found that actually there was no interaction or there was no main effects of condition or time. So just onto the discussion now. So our results actually suggested a single session did not significantly enhance sustained attention or reduce mental fatigue in semi-elite competitive athletes. And this actually contradicts Prinsloo and colleagues. But currently the variety of protocols that are used within the research actually impedes on interpreting the effectiveness of a single session. It is arguably that the absence of an enhanced sustained attention originates from inadequately stimulating meaningful change. So arguably, this is caused by cardiac vagal activity returning to baseline immediately following our resonant frequency breathing, but longer duration sessions which incorporate home practice actually increase autonomic adaptability, therefore suggesting that the duration of our sessions will actually be not long enough. Importantly, our results demonstrate the significant physiological difference between conditions, so evidenced by a greater total and vagal afferent related heart rate variability. So it does support the effectiveness of a 10-minute session to acutely increase heart rate variability. And although not statistically significant, the present study supports Zwan and colleagues by demonstrating heart rate variability increased mental fatigue. And this is actually a discrepancy within the literature, but this could be potentially due to adverse first session effects elicited by the mental effort exerted to focus on internal stimuli and the on-screen bar graph. So to conclude, the study failed to support the hypothesis that a single session of heart rate variability biofeedback would reduce mental fatigue and enhance sustained attention. It appears the present study was the first to examine the underlying mechanism of heart rate variability on attentional performance. Therefore, future research may benefit from developing standardized guidelines to clarify the effectiveness of heart rate variability biofeedback. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Holly. Very interesting, very technical, but very, very interesting. Do we have any questions from the floor? Anybody? Oh, you got my timer. I've got a quick question. So if you were speaking to a coach about heart rate variability biofeedback, would there be, I think you're, I'm going to screen share. No idea what that was. If you were, sorry, Stuart, if I could mute you a second.
Right.
Yeah, no problem. So if you were speaking to a coach and they were wanting to know how they could maybe put some HRV biofeedback into their practice just off the bat, is there any recommendations you could give?
Yeah. So like I said, there's a lot of variety within protocols, and there has been shown that home practice is actually better as well. So there's been it depends on the age of competitor.
Sorry, yeah, there we go.
It has been shown that within young competitors that around 5 minutes twice a day is actually quite good. So this could be before a session or after. But it definitely says that home practice is a lot better with the longer durations, just because it does increase that adaptability, and also you adhere to it a lot more than just doing it a one-off. So I definitely say if a coach was to implement it into practice, you definitely start practicing first at home, and then once they have got to follow it and just do it themselves and get used to the technique, they definitely just be able to do it before a game or during the changing rooms or anything like that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and well done for dealing with that little bit of difficulty as well, which is very strange. Perfect,
Okay.
thank you. So
Thank you.
got Freddie, is Freddie Haller there?
Yeah.
Hey Freddie, let me just, I've just turned off screen sharing in case
but
the individual came back.